Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another Cat Chat Live. My name is Nancy Stevens, and I manage parent and family communications for the University of Kentucky. I appreciate you making time to join us today for what is always our most popular topic of the Cat Chat Live series. Today, we're going to be talking about Big Blue Move-In. I've got a few housekeeping items before I turn things over to my colleagues in UK Housing. We're going to be using the Q&A feature in Zoom to communicate today. I'll ask that you hold your questions until all of the information has been presented, because I anticipate that my colleagues will answer many of the questions that you have in advance. And then we're doing something slightly different with the Q&A today, where you're going to be able to see the questions that other folks are asking, and you'll be able to upvote for the ones that you have as well. So that will help us make sure that we're answering the questions that the majority of you have. So please do review that Q&A before you ask your questions, and then again, upvote the ones that you want us to really focus on. We'll also be putting relevant websites in the chat. So appreciate my colleagues doing that behind the scenes. But that's where you'll get some additional information that you can review after today's webinar is over. And just for the sake of time today, we're going to take as many of your questions as we can in the allotted time. We know folks are busy, so we're going to try to hold this to an hour. But for the sake of time, we're really going to focus our questions just on Big Blue Move-In today. We know you have questions about lots of other topics, and I anticipate that we'll answer many of those in other Cat Chat Live webinars. But we're always happy to assist you if you email parents@uky.edu. So if your question is about some topic beyond move-in, reach out to us and we'll happily answer that after today's webinar is over. Now, we do have many other Cat Chat Lives coming. This is really just the kickoff of our summer series. On Wednesday, we'll be chatting all things UK dining. Next week, we'll be getting into parking and transportation, talking with an integrated success coach in transformative learning about how to get the academic part of the UK journey off to a really strong start. And today we're talking about move-in, but I want to point out also that on July 28th, we'll have our Director of Residence Life joining us along with one of our resident directors, because move-in is just one day of the year. And so while it's an important day and an important milestone in the lives of our students and for you as well, we also want to think ahead to what life is going to be like day to day in our residence halls. So note that one on July 28th. If you can join us live for these Cat Chat Lives, the registration links can be found in our Cat Chat family community. And if you're unable to join us live for any of these, that's no problem. Links to the recordings will be put in Cat Chat Live after each one of them. Hopefully you all are taking full advantage of all the content available in our Cat Chat family community, going in and updating your notification preferences to get those weekly updates from all the content in the system, going to discover communities and learning about all of the things that apply most directly to your student. Like, for instance, if your student's living in a residence hall this year, you can join the community for on-campus living, and throughout the school you'll see the updates specific to our on-campus residential students. So take full advantage of all of the really good content that's there in the Cat Chat family community. It will help you, I think, feel a little bit more like you're getting your arms around the UK experience and how to support your student through that. So those are all of my housekeeping items. I want to turn things over to Lisa Williams in UK Housing. Really appreciate Lisa and her team. I know they have been very busy this summer supporting students throughout the process, and know that they have some really good information. The whole housing team does such a phenomenal job with Big Blue Move-In. We get such great compliments every year about this experience, that it's way more organized than anybody ever anticipated. So I'm really excited for you to learn more about how your student will be welcome to the residence halls this fall. Lisa, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah. Thanks, Nancy. So excited to join all of you today. As Nancy shared, my name is Lisa Williams, and I serve as the acting co-executive director for auxiliary services. And so my two areas I oversee are both housing and dining. So I'm excited to see you're going to be spending a little bit of time on Wednesday with the dining team as well. But like Nancy shared, I'm here to talk a little bit today about Wildcat Welcome and Big Blue Move-In, which is fast approaching. So we're going to go through kind of an overview of move-in and really talk about some tips and tricks for folks. And then again, as Nancy shared, have members of the team around if you have any questions about move-in, but hopefully we're able to cover all of your questions during our time together. So just kind of as a welcome, and this is something that I am sure many of you are aware of. At UK, we are very proud of kind of the housing we have built, and we have invested a lot in just transforming campus in general. It is a very exciting time to be at UK, but it's also a very exciting time to live with us in UK campus housing. And so all of our residence halls are close to everything that your student will need, as well as provides a lot of different amenities for students. And it's just a really convenient way for them to live on campus and enjoy their first year and beyond as a Wildcat. So kind of the star of the show is move-in. So move-in dates, this year we will be doing 4 days of move-in, August 17th through the 20th. Our first appointment of each day will start at 8 a.m. So we're gonna kick move-in off at 8 a.m. and we'll be wrapped up each day by 3 p.m. So earlier in the summer, your student should have received an email inviting them to select a move-in appointment. And so we basically set those move-in appointments based upon a variety of things. If your student is in a living learning program, they had specific days they could choose. If your student was involved in a different group, they might have specific days they can choose. And we have a limited number of students we can move in each day for a variety of reasons, just in terms of managing the logistics of what is a big move-in experience. And so every student must sign up for a specific move-in appointment. Honestly, we have over 6,000 students who have already signed up for a move-in appointment. So hopefully many of your students have already done that. But again, that just really making sure that you sign up for an appointment helps us ensure that traffic flow and just the experience overall is better. And then move-in appointments are 30 minutes. We're going to talk a little bit in depth about kind of that 30-minute. It seems like a short amount of time, but I promise you, we do a really good job of getting you in and out of that unloading process within 30 minutes. But we're going to talk quite a bit more about that process here in a little bit. So like I said, I really want to kind of provide some 5 easy tips for a smoother move-in. As Nancy shared, we run a really well-oiled move-in operation. We get a lot of compliments from parents every year about how smooth it went. But we also want to share with you, here are some things you can do to make it easier for yourself, but also make it easier for the residence halls and the many faculty, staff, and student volunteers who are going to be helping out with that experience. So one of the first things is you're going to start preparing for move-in. In the next few weeks, a move-in packet will be delivered to your student's home address, and it's going to include a variety of things related to move-in. So it'll have route information. We are partnering again with Waze, which is a map app. Many of you may be familiar with it, and that already will have your specific move-in route preloaded so that when you open Waze on the day that your move-in appointment is scheduled, it'll guide you directly to the halls that you need to be at. And one of those things, we have a lot of one-way streets that we change during move-in. We really changed traffic patterns all throughout campus. And so we found a lot of success using that Waze app last year and getting individuals to their residence halls. So your move-in packet will include that, as well as a hall code card for temporary parking, and then multiple instructions. You'll get a full move-in map that shows all the routes. And then again, you'll get a printed copy of your individual hall route map. So you're able to kind of see everything that you need to do. One of the things we recommend when individuals are preparing for move-in is to bring a dolly or a cart. If you have your own, it certainly helps. We have a limited number of carts each year at the halls. And so sometimes if you want to make that experience a little bit quicker for you, you can always bring your own carts. And then we encourage students who live within 3 hours of Lexington to only bring the essentials. You do not need to bring everything that is in your room. Again, these are residence hall rooms. And so while we have a lot of space, I think talking to your students about what they really need to be bringing for move-in is really, really important. So as I shared, on move-in day, as you start driving to campus, as soon as you leave your home, I encourage you to use that Waze app. Again, there will be a QR code included in your move-in packet that will get you exactly where you need to go. And again, those app maps are adjusted to reflect kind of changes in traffic patterns we've made across campus. As you get closer to campus, you will see more and more individuals out in the streets guiding you, as well as plenty of signage across campus and leading into campus that will show you what you need to do. We'll have traffic controllers at various key intersections to provide you directions. You'll notice we'll really just kind of stop you, say, hey, where are you going? And make sure that we're getting you to the correct space. And then you'll pull into your unloading area as directed by on-site staff. So as we're talking to you, we'll make sure that you're getting into the correct space that you need to get into. And then as soon as you enter that loading area, we make sure to get you unloaded and moving on your way. So like I shared, you're going to follow directions from staff at the unloading area. And then there will be a mixture of carts, so these blue move-in carts, as well as tables and volunteers. So as soon as you pull up, you will likely have a volunteer greeting you. We will send your student inside to take care of their check-in process, and then we will start working with you to unload all belongings onto the provided carts or tables. So we have about 500 faculty, staff, and student volunteers throughout the move-in process that help to do this unloading for you. And again, really hoping that that just makes that experience a little bit smoother for you and provides a positive welcome as soon as you arrive at UK. Once your vehicle is unloaded, you're going to move it to a designated parking area. So oftentimes what we'll do is one person needs to kind of stay with the vehicle. We might send the student inside to get checked in, do all those pieces. And then once you are unloaded, we are going to ask you to move it to one of the designated parking areas. For North Campus, that's going to be our Cornerstone parking garage, which is just adjacent to North Campus. For South and Central, that will be over at Kroger Field. And we will have shuttles running throughout the experience that will get you to those various parking locations as well. We will include directions to designated parking in your move-in information packet. And you can also find that on the overall parking map and your individual hall map. One of the things we please ask you, please do not leave your cars unattended in the loading areas. That, from our process, really just kind of slows things down and limits our ability to get more individuals in throughout that move-in period. But again, we'll show you on the hall code card. We do have some things that hopefully allow us to get in contact with you should your car be in that unloading area. So when your student enters the residence halls, one of the things that I cannot stress enough today is to make sure that your student has their mobile ID ready to go. So the wildcard mobile ID, they've talked about it at orientation. They'll see some comms about that in the next couple of weeks. That will be what will get you checked in at the front desk on move-in day. So the process is pretty quick and easy. Student will walk up to the desk, check in. They'll get their keys. So that will include their bedroom key if they have one, as well as their mailbox key. And then you will start moving in your belongings at that point in time. So again, make sure that they have that mobile ID ready to go. It's a pretty quick and easy process to do so, but that will allow them to get checked in, and that is actually going to be their front door key. All of our front doors are mobile ID. So just kind of provide a quick overview, particularly related to parking. One of the other pieces is we encourage folks to pack in plastic containers. We'll talk a little bit later about the unpredictable weather that Kentucky experiences in August. We have had anywhere from 60-degree move-in days to pouring rain on move-in day. And so we just encourage you to prepare for all possible options. But packing in plastic containers really helps if we do have maybe some bad weather, perhaps, during the move-in time period. Make sure you are utilizing your Waze app for your route information. And again, you're going to have a lot of information in that move-in packet that gets delivered to your home. And then again, encouraging you all to arrive during that 30-minute appointment window. We really, again, have a pretty tightly scheduled move-in process. And so by you all coming when you say you're going to come, it really helps us make sure that everything runs smoothly for everyone involved. And then once you're unloading, again, just make sure you get everything unloaded. We will have plenty of volunteers there to help you do that. And that really kind of keeps the process moving. And then we ask one person to move that vehicle to the designated parking area. And then everybody else can start that move-in process, getting the room decorated, all of those pieces. So I've mentioned this a couple times, but this hall code card that will be in your packet, this is what that looks like. So this is Woodland Glen 4's hall code card. This year, it will be printed so you can hang it on your rear view mirror. As someone who oftentimes finds themselves in the street running traffic, if you can please hang that on your rear view mirror, it's really helpful for our traffic coordinators to see and be able to guide you to the correct location. But we'll ask you to put a couple bits of information on that. So we ask that you put your cell phone number or a good cell phone number for us to contact you, your arrival time, and your room number. And so that just helps us on the occasion that maybe a car is left in the space, we can pick up the phone and call someone and just ask that they come move those cars at that point in time. But again, we don't really find that to happen too often, but any information you can provide us is helpful and just making sure that that move-in process continues seamlessly. So this is the overall route map. Again, this might be overwhelming to many of you. We are going to send you an individual one that corresponds to your actual residence hall. But if you're wanting to kind of see, okay, well, what does this larger campus look like? Or if maybe you need to go to different places around Lexington or around campus, this will show you all of the routes and kind of how traffic has changed during that 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. time period. And this is probably a slightly less overwhelming map for you, but this is the one for Donovan and Johnson Hall that will show you the solid line is your directions to the hall, and that dotted line is your directions to the parking. So kind of shows you both ways to get out, as well as where you will be able to unload all of those pieces. But again, that Waze app is going to get you right to the unloading zone for your specific hall, and we'll have plenty of volunteers around to help get you there as well. So reminders, students who live within 3 hours of campus, really, again, we encourage you to only bring the essentials. We don't need necessarily to bring our full winter wardrobe, perhaps, knowing that you might be going home for Thanksgiving or fall break, kind of have your student think through what they need to bring. As I shared, weather can really vary. So we encourage individuals to dress accordingly. Again, I really encourage folks, if you have them available, to pack in those plastic totes. We've seen a lot of students also packing in those kind of nylon IKEA bags, and that has been really helpful. We will have plastic sheeting available if it does rain. At that point in time, we will put that plastic sheeting over carts or tables, but we just ask that you try to think about that as well as you're preparing for move-in. As you enter campus on move-in day, again, make sure that you're looking out, going slow and looking around for everyone. UKPD as well as traffic control personnel will be available guiding you through all of those pieces. And so again, really happy to help you, just asking that you be patient with us, travel slowly. There is a lot of movement happening around campus on the move-in days, as many of you might imagine. And finally, kind of that unloading process. So students and guests will greet you with volunteers who will help unload belongings. If there are things within your car that you're like, hey, I actually want to unload this on my own, just let us know. We're happy to kind of say, okay, we'll get this other stuff. A lot of times TVs, a lot of computer screens are some things where people are like, hey, I'll just manage that. But again, our volunteers are just available to help unload and make that process as smooth as possible for you. And again, one guest should stay with the belongings while the other moves the vehicle. And that just keeps our move-in process going as well. So some things to know, during the move-in periods, there will be no parking areas. Those are going to be tow zones around our unloading areas for students. So we do have no parking time. You will see plenty of signage around this. This is primarily in the overnight hours. You can park, so typically 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. you are allowed to park there, but every other time you are not. And so just make sure that you are paying attention to signage. We rarely have to tow a car out of the unloading zone, but we really hate when we have to. So make sure that you and your student, if they're bringing a car to campus, are paying attention to those signs. Again, make sure your student has their mobile ID ready to go. That is going to allow you to check into the front desk, as well as it will allow you to gain access to your residence hall room. So if they haven't already done that, really make sure that they're doing that. And there's great instructions on the Wildcard ID website that will tell them how to do that if they have not done so. As we think about sustainability, we do encourage folks to bring a refillable bottle. We will have hydration stations throughout campus. I believe we're up to maybe 9 or 10 hydration stations parked throughout. And those are really just refill stations that we've worked with our sustainability office on to make sure that we are providing water to volunteers, to parents and families and students. And so really just encourage you to bring a refillable bottle. And then K-Week will start. So again, move-in is August 17th through the 20th. K-Week will start on August 20th. So if your student is moving in on the 20th, we'll get them in time for them to get settled. And then that evening, K-Week will start. That is really the second step in the orientation process. So many of your students have gone through BB&Os. K-Week is that next step to make sure that they're getting connected to campus. And all new students are expected to attend that. I'm sure dining, we'll talk more about this on Monday, but dining plans will be active starting the first day of move-in. So Sunday, August 17th, dining plans will become active. So your student will be able to go to any of our dining facilities across campus starting on that day and use their meal plan for the academic year. So as I mentioned earlier, there are no parking zones across campus based upon kind of where we need to unload individuals. And again, you will see signage across campus about this, but really make sure, again, if your student is bringing a car to campus, they are avoiding parking in these areas because they will get towed as we head into those morning hours when we need to be getting move-in set up. You'll notice avenue of trees and the pedestrian walkways. Those are both what they say they are. They are pedestrian walkways, typically not open to traffic. We do open them to traffic during move-in. So just make sure that if you are on those areas too, one, you're paying attention to pedestrians, but two, you're getting out of those zones once you are done unloading. One of the questions we get a lot, and one of the questions that I know has come up a lot at orientation, is what to bring and what not to bring. And so we provide a handout every year that goes over various items that we encourage folks to bring. One of those is often linen sizes. So we have a variety of bed sizes, both twin XL and full XL. All room types are memory foam mattresses, but that will tell you based upon where your student is living, that is what size of sheet they need to be bringing. And then we really encourage roommates to coordinate on various items. So likely you do not need 2 full-size TVs in your room or 3 full-size TVs in your room. And so make sure that you're talking through who is bringing what. And we've kind of outlined some items that are oftentimes things that you maybe don't need multiple of them, but that are really helpful for individuals as well. We do see students bring a printer. We do have printing capabilities in all of the residence halls as well. And so for whatever reason they need to print, they can also do that in their lobbies. But that QR code down below should send you to our move-in website with a full recommended list of what we encourage you to bring. On the flip side, we also have some items that we encourage you not to bring to campus because likely we are going to see them during move-in and ask you to take them home. And so these are really items that pose fire or other safety hazards not permitted in the residence halls. Some of these are going to be really obvious. Candles make sense. A camping stove makes sense. Some might be less obvious for folks. And so I do want to highlight those for you. That includes electric scooters and hoverboards. Those are not allowed to remain in the residence halls. Headboards are also not allowed. And so that's a big one that we see as we head into move-in. The Commonwealth of Kentucky has some pretty strong fire safety regulations, which is why headboards are not allowed at the University of Kentucky. And that is a decision we've made in conjunction with our UK fire marshal team. LED light strips are also not allowed. And the one popular one is air fryers. So each year we see a good number of air fryers try to make their way into the halls, and we have to ask that they are removed. So air fryers are not allowed. And you can see again some other examples below as well. And the QR code at the bottom, again, will show you a full list of what not to bring. I will also highlight that excessive wall covering. We really ask that you do not have all of the walls covered, or if you have kind of a large drapery or something you want, just make sure that you're taking a look at what not to bring and taking a look at kind of the regulations that we have there as well. We've had some questions throughout orientation around fridges. At UK, every residence hall room includes a micro fridge. And so that is a fridge freezer combo as well as a microwave on the top. And so you do not need to bring an extra fridge. You do not need to bring a microwave. That will be provided for you when you move in. And then if you're in various room types, so a 4-bedroom suite, 2-bedroom deluxe suites, and university flats, that is primarily our transfer students and upperclassmen. There is a full-size refrigerator and microwave provided in those areas. But again, no need to bring a fridge. If you do bring an extra fridge, it will, if it has not been approved, it will also be turned away when you move in because we have one there available for you. And then visitation policy. So we have a visitation policy throughout the academic year. During the move-in periods, we do lock that down. So no visitation is allowed from August 17th through the 20th. For there, we're really talking about overnight visitors. And so we do ask that families, we understand you're helping your student move in. You are allowed to remain in the residence halls until 8 p.m. on each move-in day. We get that for a variety of reasons. Maybe you want to take them to dinner. We also know goodbyes are hard. And so we want to give you as much time as possible. But there is no overnight visitation or after 8 p.m. on move-in days. We will have our residence life team. And as Nancy said, you'll talk with our director of residence life. They're going to be doing a lot of things during that move-in period to make sure that your student is feeling welcomed and engaged each evening. And honestly, after you move in, they're probably going to want an early bedtime because it's a busy day. Regular visitation policy will begin August 21st at noon. So that first day where we are not in an active move-in period, visitation will begin, and that will be kind of that 24/7 visitation policy that is allowed in the residence halls. If your student during move-in or during the academic year notices any issues in their residence hall room, hopefully when they move in, they will not notice any issues. We have staff who go in and do multiple rounds of inspections to make sure that everything is ready to go for students. But if there is an issue when they move in or throughout the academic year, we have what we call our Fix It 24/7 call center that manages all of our maintenance requests for the residence halls. So all non-emergency maintenance requests are handled Monday through Friday. If it's an emergency, we get someone as soon as possible to respond in those emergency situations. And we talk a little bit below about how to submit a request. We ask if it's a non-emergency that you submit a request through this form below. And your student should have a handout when they move in that will provide this form for them as well. And then there's the phone number below if it's an emergency and you need to get a hold of someone immediately, call Fix It. We do have custodians in the residence halls who clean and disinfect the residence hall common areas, and they staff work during the day and have a reduced workforce on the weekends. We do not clean individual rooms. So as you're talking to your students, and we certainly have these conversations with roommate pairs as we think through some of those pieces, talk to them about how often they're planning to clean their space, how often they're planning to clean their bathroom in particular. Again, we don't have custodians that come in and do that for students. It is the responsibility of the student to be cleaning their individual rooms. And that was a pretty quick kind of 30 minutes on move-in. And again, we covered quite a bit, but wanted to open it up for any questions you all might have about move-in.
All right, Lisa, thanks for that good information. We have had a number of questions come in, so I'll share some of those with you now. Multiple folks are asking about the option of bringing multiple vehicles during drop-off. So how does that work? I'm assuming that the move-in packets will only include one hall code card. So how can they work through multiple vehicles?
Great question. We will have on our website links to each of those forms. So if you have multiple vehicles, you are able to print multiple of those hanging passes as well as additional information. So we will, if that is not live on our website yet, it will be in the coming days. Just print out extra copies and include that with you. So you can print out as many as possible. Again, we don't encourage you to bring every vehicle, but if you have multiple vehicles, because you have multiple folks helping, you can print off additional ones on our website.
And then what do you recommend if folks have maybe two vehicles, but only one that has all of the belongings in it? Maybe that second vehicle is just folks who are helping with the move-in process. I'm assuming you don't want both of those vehicles to enter the loading area. Maybe have one go straight to the parking area. How would you recommend folks handle that?
I would recommend one go straight to the parking area. I would recommend one go straight to the parking area. Again, that unloading area can get congested pretty quickly. It does. Again, every year we get compliments on how quickly it moves. But if you have a car that doesn't have any belongings in it, I encourage you to go park that in the parking space and bring a shuttle back from that space to help with everything else. So again, trying to kind of keep as many cars as possible out of that line that is solely for unloading.
Yeah, that was my assumption, but just wanted folks to hear what they would do instead. All right, we've got another question asking if they can bring a U-Haul trailer.
You can bring a U-Haul trailer. One of the pieces I always tell individuals on move-in day, there is limited space in your room. That is just a function of a residence hall room. But we also know a lot of times we'll have families that are bringing multiple students either to campus or maybe one's off campus and one's on campus. You can bring a U-Haul trailer. All of our unloading zones are equipped for that, and we can manage that. But really think about kind of as you're thinking about that U-Haul trailer, what all needs to go into that room. Because it is limited space that is available for students. And so just be thinking about that, but we can accommodate U-Haul trailers at any of our unloading zones.
All right, so we've put the link for mobile ID in the chat, but somebody is following up to ask, are there any physical keys issued, like maybe for individual rooms, or is everything mobile ID?
There are individual keys issued. So your student will get a mailbox key, and that will be for their mailbox. But they will also, if they are in a 2-bedroom suite or a 3-person 2-bedroom suite, they will also get a key for their individual bedroom. So we do have hard keys for that, but the front door will always be that mobile ID.
All right, a few folks have asked about the possibility of switching out move-in appointments. If is it possible for students to change them after they've made the initial appointment, and how would they go about doing that?
So there is a move-in exception request form on their UK housing portal. So if they go into their portal and go to move-in appointments, and if they need to select a different day, they can fill out that move-in exception request form, give us a reason, and then our housing team will review that and share approvals or denials with students based upon that. If for whatever reason they're having trouble on that portal, just email UK Housing and they can help get you connected to that move-in exception request process.
We've heard from a few folks in the Q&A who have students in the Wildcat Marching Band. How do those students, knowing that they have a different schedule, how do those students make move-in arrangements?
They will work. So we work with the marching band in terms of when their students need to arrive to campus. And so we will actually get a list from marching band of here's students who are approved to move in. Typically the marching band moves in a few days earlier. We'll get that list from individuals. And then we always ask the marching band to communicate with students about when they're eligible to move in. So I would get the information from marching band, but those students always move in a little bit earlier, and we work with them to make sure that everything is ready and set up for them when they arrive.
Now, when you were presenting earlier, you mentioned that students need to clean their own rooms. You've had several folks ask about what the rooms, cleanliness will be when they arrive, or do they need to make time to clean, upon arrival as well?
You do not need to make time to clean upon arrival. So rooms will be cleaned and ready to go. We go through multiple rounds of cleaning throughout the summer, as well as a final round of cleaning just prior to move-in. So the rooms are expected to be clean and ready for you when you arrive. And so there should not be any need to clean. We know still we have a lot of people who choose to clean just based upon personal preference. And so if you know that is going to be you, I'd make sure that you think about kind of some timelines on that. But every room, our expectation is every room is cleaned and ready for you when you arrive. And we have very high levels on what that cleaning looks like for when you arrive.
They've got cleanliness on the mind. Here are a couple of questions asking about the availability of vacuums, or should students bring a vacuum?
I would encourage students to bring a vacuum. There are vacuums on occasion available at the front desks of the residence halls, but I would just encourage students to bring their own small vacuum. You don't need a large one, but if they want to bring a smaller one, I would encourage them to do that. But again, worst case scenario, they can always go down to the front desk and request a vacuum if one is available.
All right. As I'm looking through the questions, I'm also seeing folks going back to the bed size question. Do you mind going back to that slide?
Yes.
All right. Folks can see that there. Several of these questions are specific to specific residence halls, so wanted them to be able to see the chart there again. All right. While folks are reviewing that, so there's a question about how they should plan on hanging things on the walls in the residence halls.
That is a great question. So one of the things you can use 3M command strips. You can use small nails. We always say within reason. I have walked into rooms at closing that have 30 to 50 command strips on one wall. That is a little excessive, but you can use command strips. We highly recommend that. One thing to know, at move out, we will ask that you don't remove those. It is just easier for us and our team to remove those. But we really recommend command strips. And if you are in a building that has drywall, we ask for very small nails, and we can accommodate that as well.
All right, and then I'm also seeing a handful of questions about lofting the beds or bed risers. So you may want to go back to that, what not to bring, what not to do. But can you talk a little bit about, I think a lot of folks are worried about under the bed storage space. And I know this came up a lot at orientation, and our first year experience ambassadors assured folks that there was plenty of space under the beds.
Yes.
But can you mention a little bit more about the restriction on lofting beds?
Yep. So beds are not lofted. I will say across the board, all of our beds are actually already slightly lofted. So they are not low beds by any stretch of the imagination. They are already slightly lofted to the point that the dresser could slide underneath that bed. The bunk beds in all of the residence halls are not lofted. Those are going to be traditional bunk beds. But if you are in a different type of bed, that is already a little bit lofted, and you don't need to bring anything else to loft that, because you will be able to slide in everything you need underneath that bed.
All right, while we're on our what not to bring slide, I had a follow-up question about excessive wall coverings, and does peel and stick wallpaper fall into that category?
It would. So y'all are helping me get real technical with my fire safety knowledge today. No more than 10% of the wall, based upon Kentucky Fire Code, can be covered. Now, I don't expect you all to go measure your room and figure out what 10% of the room is, but I think that is just a guideline that we use for both our RAs and our students, is no more than 10% of the wall. And so we ask students and families to use their best judgment. To that, I will say 10% is not a lot of the wall. So think kind of about that as well.
All right, I'm seeing a question. I know we've gotten this in past years too. If folks want to have things shipped to the residence halls in advance, can they do that? I know that obviously if everybody did, that would be a lot of things to manage. So how would you recommend folks who can't bring things with them get things here in Lexington?
So you can, again, to Nancy's point, we ask that not everyone do this. We ask that you ship as much to your individual home and bring with you as possible. However, we know if you're flying or coming from out of state, that might not be possible. And so we can work to bring some items to the residence halls. We don't deliver mail during move-in periods. So we will not deliver mail August 17th through the 20th. We will resume mail delivery to the residence halls on August 21st. That is real. Our mail trucks just can't get through move-in traffic, and so in a timely manner. And so we pause mail delivery. If you do need to mail items prior to move-in, you can do so, and those will either remain at our post office. We have a university post office that will hold them. Some of them may get to the residence halls and will be there, but we do not do any mail during the move-in time period. I would encourage you as much as possible to mail items that would arrive after on August 21st and after, as much as possible.
Let's see. All right. Lots of questions coming in and they keep jumping around on my screen. So I had a question about, is there a typical amount of time families are needed to stick around and make sure the student is all set up? This is an out-of-state family asking in particular. And I think there's maybe some concern about, what their student will do after they leave. So if you could address that, that'd be great.
Yeah, every family is different. And so I want to honor the fact that, particularly if you're in state or out of state, you're leaving your child with us. And I know that brings with it a lot of emotions with it. And so we want you to make the decision that is best for the family. Again, we do ask that you aren't staying overnight with your child or doing any of those pieces, because our residence life staff are really, as soon as your student moves in, they are the first person your student's going to meet. And then every night after moving is over, they're going to be connecting with their residents, making sure that everything is okay, making sure that they are feeling connected and feeling all those pieces. And so I think you can make that determination on how you kind of want to do that. How do you want to leave your student? If you want to stay, we have a lot of parents that will maybe move their student in on Monday and then they come back to, spend some time with them on Tuesday if they're available to do that. And so it's really up to the individual family and what makes the most sense. But I can guarantee everyone on this call that our residence life team will really be working to get students connected and invested as soon as you all leave, to make sure that they're feeling welcome at UK for all of our students. And so hopefully that helps a little bit. And certainly once K week starts, they are not going to have time to really see anyone, because we will keep them very busy getting them acquainted to campus. But as soon as you leave, just want to reassure someone will be there to help connect with students and make sure that they are finding their own place at UK.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned families kind of coming and going on that move-in day. We had a question asking about just that, once they get everything unloaded and the initial move-in, if they leave and go run some errands and then come back, do they need to get back into that loading zone, or how does that process work?
Yeah, so we'll see this particularly in the afternoon hours. So folks who maybe moved in earlier in the day will make a run to Target or to Kroger or wherever that might be. You will need to get back into the move-in line. So make sure that you still have that pass on your dashboard, and we'll get you into that. I will say if it's after 3 p.m., by that point, we've really wrapped up move-in operations for the day. And so at that point, you can likely just pull into that unloading zone outside of the residence hall. Again, paying attention to those no parking signs and the times that are listed on those no parking signs, but you're able to drop items off throughout the time. If it's between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m., you need to get back in the line. If not, you can just pull up in front of the residence hall and unload as needed.
All right. Several folks have indicated that their students' roommate info is set to private, and that makes it more challenging to coordinate things with them. So is there a way to get contact information for those private roommates?
Yeah, great question. So if your student is seeing that there is no information for their roommate, just email ukhousing@uky.edu and we will send the student the roommate's contact information. So typically name and email, as well as potentially a phone number as well. So we see that quite often. Just email UK Housing. Make sure the student is emailing UK Housing at uky.edu, and we will provide that information for them.
All right. Let's see. That one we've already addressed. So working through the list with y'all. All right. So while we have this what not to bring slide still up, got some clarifying questions. So, folks know that electric scooters aren't allowed into the residence halls. So they want to confirm that they can be charged outside, or how do students normally handle the electric scooters there in the residence hall?
There are not specific places. We have many bike areas. So if they have a bike, they can lock that bike and park it. We don't have any specific areas for electric scooters or hoverboards at this time. I know that is something the university, well, really just electric scooters at this point, the university is looking at. Do we have something where we can have students charging them? you will see students have those kind of all over. You will see them charging outside and locked up. And so that's really figuring out kind of where that makes the most sense for students. But they can't be in the residence halls. If they're bikes, they can just lock them up. We do see a good number of electric scooters also locked up to bike racks. And then students just figure out a power source to charge them outside as needed as well.
All right, and then also on the fire safety theme, are candle warmers allowed? So candles not lit, but candle warmers.
They are not. So that is something, if we see a candle in a room, even if it's on a candle warmer plate, we will take both. They are not allowed.
Right, yeah, if you see a candle, you can assume that it is able to be lit, and we do not want that from a safety standpoint.
We will take that away.
Yeah. All right, so are air purifiers okay to bring?
Yes, air purifiers are fine to bring if you choose to do so.
And do the rooms come with garbage cans?
Rooms do come with garbage cans and recycling bins. So those are permitted for students to use. We'll see a lot of students bring their own garbage cans that might be a little bit bigger. They are not the largest garbage cans, but those are provided.
All right, I was just typing in the chat, yes to toasters, no to toaster ovens.
Correct.
All right, yeah, and it got a clarifying question about the electric scooters. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, saying electric bikes, electric skateboards, they assume are also prohibited, basically anything with lithium battery.
Yep, exactly. Anything with a lithium battery is not allowed.
Right, this is now bringing on a flurry of follow-up questions asking about anything else with a plug. And in fact, there was a question asking exactly how many plugs there are in the room. Don't know that the website has that granular level of detail on it, although it gets pretty granular.
It does get very granular. I don't even know if I can tell you how many plugs there are per room. I do know that we have plenty. And again, extension cords are not allowed, but surge protectors are allowed. So I will say a majority of our students will bring surge protectors so that they have multiple ways to plug in. That is a fairly common thing I see.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I would say is I'm seeing folks asking about, again, these very specific items. I also think, folks really get hung up on wanting the perfect room set up from the first moment, very first day. And I appreciate that as the intent, but I do think for many of our students, they just need to live in the space for a little while and see what they really need. Because again, when you've got somewhat limited room, way bigger than any residence hall I ever lived in, but when you've got competition for space, bringing everything you own to start, it can be challenging. Obviously, we have many stores in Lexington. It would be easy enough for them to acquire something that they need after the fact. So yes. Again, seeing questions about coffee and waffle makers and all of this, your student may not need or use that. And when I think about move out, and I know you all see it more than even I do, when you think about all of the things that are tossed or recycled or sent home unused during move out. That's my experience, and that's just as an observer. And I'm sure that you all and your team see it, on a day-to-day basis, all the things that go unused.
Yeah, I will say it's always easier to add than take away. So, and again, I've helped students with move-in. I remember helping a student last year who had a lot of belongings they brought with them, and they were all great. And I got her up to her room and she looked at me and she's like, "This is way too much stuff, isn't it?" And I was like, it is too much stuff. And so I think to the earlier point, we have plenty of stores around if you need to go pick up items, but I think giving students the time to kind of live in that space and see what they do and don't need. A waffle maker, we have those at the dining halls. So that could be something that the student uses there. Coffee maker makes a lot of sense, particularly if your student drinks a lot of coffee. So I think really talking to your student about what do they truly need, and knowing that we have many stores within walking distance to campus if they need to get anything else. And again, you can also move in and see kind of, okay, here's how much space we know. And then during that move-in day, go to a store, go somewhere else and pick up some additional things. But it's always easier to add as opposed to taking away.
I also see our students during K-Week having a lot of fun going with new roommates, new friends, people they've met, having fun going on adventures to Target
Yeah.
or to Kroger. And so I think that's something that they can do to, fill the time, make the space truly their own. And so, yeah, I think there's some value in letting them live with it and then, get to feel independent and going and setting up this space and making it their own.
And to
All
Nancy's
right, I'm
point, we do
seeing,
see a lot of things that are thrown out at move out, which we do a really good job of donating and recycling those. But again, really thinking about what your student needs to live here for one academic year is really important.
exactly. All right, I'm seeing a couple of folks feeling like maybe they're seeing conflicting information on some of the bed sizes between what was on the screen and maybe what was on the website. So Ball and Lewis mentioned specifically. I haven't looked to compare those two.
So Ball and Lewis, if our 2-bedroom suites are full XL, we do have 3-person 2-bedroom spaces in both Ball and Lewis. Bed B and C of the 3-person 2-bedroom are going to be twin XL. So you really got to kind of drill down to your individual bed type or your bed space to know what that will look like.
Yeah, so that may be where folks are feeling like it's possible that there's a discrepancy when it really is about the room type. All right. I've seen this question a lot in some of the unofficial Facebook groups asking about body pillows in lieu of headboards or some sort of pillow headboard.
Pillow headboard, no. I think body pillows can be used again. It's just that 10% of the wall being covered. So if you bring a lot of pillows, that is up to you. But anything in terms of kind of something that is permanently connected to either the bed or permanently behind the bed is not allowed. Body pillows, those pieces are a little bit easier to move around.
All right. Knowing that we've only got a few minutes left and I've got a lot of open questions, I'm kind of looking through for some of our themes. Let's see. All right, so got some about kind of the safety and security piece, like somebody's asking if their students need to keep their individual bedroom key on them at all times. Like if they're just going to the bathroom in their suite, the door is locked behind them and they have to key back in. Somebody else apparently has decided their student will lose a key and they're asking about the cost of replacement keys. So, know your student.
So if they're in their suite, it is personal preference. If that is what I will start. It is personal preference. The doors will not lock behind them if they're leaving their individual bedroom to go to their suite bathroom. But if they want to lock their door while they're in that suite bathroom, they absolutely, primarily in our 2-bedroom suites, and our 3-person 2-bedroom suites. Our 4-person suites are a little bit different in terms of inability to lock. And so I think that will depend on kind of individual students' preference on all of those pieces. I am going to have to go back and look at how much we charge for keys. I think it is $50 for a bedroom key. And so if your student is one that you're like, they're going to lose that key, I think talking to them about how best to not do that, or I have seen a lot of students get their bedroom key, put it in the desk drawer, and then that's where it remains until move out. So I do think that's also something, if they are going to lose their key, just put it in a space where it can stay until move out. I found a lot of bedroom keys in desk drawers when I am closing the residence hall. So if that's the case, I just encourage you to do so. But I think locking the door, and again, the residence life team will likely talk a lot about roommate agreements as you think about safety and security in your own kind of room. That is something we talk a lot about, of how do they want to live with others? How do they want to navigate that? And so the residence life team will do a really exceptional job of helping your student talk through that with their suite mates.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, like I said, going through kind of knowing that we're not going to get to every question. And so if we're not answering your question, again, email parents@uky.edu, or you can reach out directly to campus housing, and that contact information is there on the screen. And know that, again, yeah, we'll talk to Residence Life directly and an upcoming Cat Chat Live. So I guess, Lisa, as we wrap up, any final tips, any things that you think, man, as I watch Move In, I wish folks had known to do this or to not do this. Any kind of insider tips based on your experience?
Take a deep breath. Move-in inherently is stressful for everyone involved. It's stressful for students. This is a new experience for them. I know it is certainly stressful for parents, family members, support persons, whoever that might be that's moving in the student. And so I think one of the things, particularly when I'm managing move-in or I'm out about in the streets on move-in, is just reminding people to kind of take a deep breath. Our staff and volunteers are there to help you. And so we want to make that process as smooth as possible for you. But I think one of the things I'm always trying to do and remind people at Move In is just enjoy the experience. We know, again, it comes with a lot of emotions. Every year seeing, parents saying goodbye to their children, I know is really, really tough. But knowing that we're going to take good care of them here at UK as soon as you leave them is really important for me to tell you and for you all to understand. But I think my number one tip is just try to enjoy the experience. It's stressful, but take a deep breath. We'll get you in and we'll take care of you. And we'll make sure that your student is taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I talk a little bit about this with families at orientation. I think that part of the ways that families deal with their anxiety about the transition is trying to set up this amazing residence hall room space for them. And you want, you're less worried about the mattress topper and that kind of thing, and more worried, like, is your student going to get enough sleep when you're not there to tell them, hey, are you sure you don't need to go on to bed? So, I think, again, a lot of the questions, the very granular questions about what to bring and what not to bring, come from a place of anxiety and wanting to try to set your student up for success the best way that you possibly can. And I think that knowing that it's a process, again, goes beyond just the one day of move in, and your students got this, they're excited, they're ready, and I think they'll feed off the energy of the family. So if they are sensing anxiety, obviously, we get that can be nerve-wracking to launch the student off, but I think as best as you can bring your excitement and your confidence in them that they've got this and that they're in really good hands, not only in our residence halls, but across the faculty and staff and administration of the university. I hope that gives folks some peace of mind.
Absolutely.
All right. So again, folks, if we didn't get to your question, our apologies. Please do follow up and email parents@uky.edu or ukhousing@uky.edu. Lisa, so appreciate you joining and making time for everybody's questions and walking folks through the process. The Move-In website will continue to be updated. Your student will continue to get information. The housing team does a great job of getting me information to put in the Cat Chat family community. So this is not the last you will hear of the plans for Big Blue Move-In. But hope this gave folks a sense of what's to come and that it is a highly coordinated, very smooth process. And so, just Lisa, appreciate the whole team working so hard on housing assignments and room swap and getting all of the spaces ready for our students. And so good luck with your remaining August preparations. And folks, hope to see you again on Cat Chat Live. Hope this was helpful for you and really appreciate you joining us today. Thanks so much, and go Cats.